Hi, I am Michelle Rowan, President and COO of Franchise Business Review. And today we are talking with Jade Maloney, a funding consultant with Benetrends Financial, about ways to finance a franchise. There are so many options available for any entrepreneur that is looking at franchising. And actually, Benetrends works outside of franchising. So I should just say business owners in general. And it can be really confusing and sometimes intimidating to know which options are the best for what you want to accomplish. So Franchise Business Review has partnered with Benetrends Financial to help potential franchise buyers better understand their options and make informed decisions. So Jade, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with kind of about Franchise Business Review before we go over to Benetrends. I just want to provide an overview of who we are here at FBR and what we do. So FBR has been providing insights to the franchise industry and resources for both franchisors and potential franchisees for 20 years. We know that not all franchise opportunities are created equal, and that's why we ask thousands of franchise owners each year to learn about their experience of what it's like owning and running their businesses. And this data is so important for franchisors, for their corporate team, to understand what franchisees feel they're doing well and to identify where there's opportunities to improve. And then it also helps aspiring franchise owners or entrepreneurs an unbiased look at what the franchise owners are saying about the business that they're running. So franchisebusinessreview.com is a great place to start and compare those franchise opportunities and to download reports that you can see and help you make your decision. So now I think it's time to turn things over to Jade and start just kind of telling us about what you all do. We did pick Benetrends because we want to provide resources to potential franchise owners. And I would say Benetrends is definitely one of the best of the best. They have over 40 years of franchise industry experience. They've helped more than 30,000 entrepreneurs get funded, and they are a trusted partner for small business owners and also a preferred vendor for the International Franchise Association. So that's quite a diploma. So now I'm going to turn things over to Jade. Tell us about yourself and then tell us about Benetrends.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michelle. So hello again. My name is Jade and I'm a funding consultant here at Benetrends. So today I'm going to shed some light on some of the different funding options that are available to you and what we provide here at Benetrends. So before I dive in, a little bit of background about Benetrends. I know Michelle mentioned a little bit. So we were established back in the 80s and have been helping entrepreneurs like yourself fund small business and franchise ventures ever since. So we have over 40 years of experience in the industry and we have several different funding tools from self-financing or self-funding programs to financing programs. So here at Benetrends, our goal is to evaluate your current financial picture, your potential business venture, and your timeline to customize a unique funding strategy that fits your individual needs. So we're here to be an educational resource on all things funding for your new franchise venture. So one of the most popular ways to self-fund a franchise is through the ROBS program. So this program stands for Rollover as Business Startup. We call it the Rainmaker Plan here at Benetrends. You may have heard of this program, but likely not. So we like to call this a hidden gem to many outside of the franchise industry. Because if you are not looking to pursue a franchise or a business venture, why would you have heard of this ROBS program? So our founder, Len Fisher, was the original architect of this ROBS program. And that's what opened up our doors over 40 years ago. So we also introduced traditional financing as well. So this ROBS program is a unique program where you can leverage your pre-tax retirement funds to fund your business outright without borrowing any money, interest-free, tax-deferred, and penalty-free. So this is not a loan on your retirement account, and this is not a distribution. This is a qualified rollover where we're moving money from one qualified plan to another, and in turn, we are deferring those taxes and penalties.
So is this, from the way that I understand it, and I am not as versed as you are in this, so I want to ask, just kind of being the newbie, is the idea for this is that you're borrowing from yourself and you're paying yourself back?
No, so this is not
Okay.
a loan or a distribution, which you certainly could do. In this
Okay.
case, we are moving the money from one qualified plan to another. So this is not a taxable event. So we are
Okay.
deferring taxes and penalties in this case.
Awesome.
And I'll go over how it all works and what we do here at Benetrends. So,
Perfect.
back to your point, you may be thinking, why use this ROBS program to roll over your retirement funds to fund your business? Well, you do have the opportunity to liquidate some of your own retirement funds, but if you're under the age of 59 and a half, you'd be hit with that early 10% withdrawal penalty, as as well as additional income taxes. So why not engage in a program where you can utilize 100% of your retirement funds, penalty-free, tax-deferred, to fund your own business instead? So how this works. This ROBS program is similar to rolling over any pre-tax retirement funds either into a new employer plan or a traditional IRA, except in this case, you'd be rolling these funds over into your own corporate entity and investing in yourself and your business. So instead of investing in large publicly traded corporations like Microsoft, Google, or Amazon, you'd be purchasing shares of your own privately held company stock for your new company. And essentially, how this works is we would create a new corporation for your business in the form of a C Corp. Call it ABC Inc., doing business as XYZ franchise. Next, we would design a new customized retirement plan for your new company. So we usually set this up as a profit sharing plan or a traditional 401k. But since we are setting this up as a C Corp, you would then be the owner of the business as well as an employee of the company, which means you are then also given the opportunity to contribute to your new retirement plan via future contributions. So, as a participant in that plan, you can then roll over pre tax retirement funds from any previous employer's retirement plan, any rollover IRA, traditional IRA, or any other eligible plan into your new company's retirement plan. And through that stock transaction, your new retirement plan would then own the shares of stock in your company. The company would receive the proceeds from that stock sale to go directly to your corporate checking account, and you can use those funds for any legitimate business expense. So that includes any working capital, any franchise fees, salaries, marketing, etc. So we're essentially doing the same thing that these large corporations are doing.
That's really cool. So I've actually never heard of this, and I'm curious, do you have an idea of what percentage of the deals that you do in general choose this plan? It sounds very cool, but it sounds probably like a lot of people don't know about it.
So I would say, with our business, again, our goal is to help entrepreneurs fund their business or
Yeah.
small ventures. So we work with thousands of different franchise concepts, thousands of different brokers. I would say it's probably 60% ROBS and then
Oh, cool.
40% traditional financing. So ROBS
Awesome.
is certainly very popular in some cases, and I'll touch on this later. People like to use ROBS in conjunction with traditional financing.
Awesome.
Okay. So this, that's our Rob's plan in a nutshell. So it's an opportunity to utilize your retirement funds to invest in yourself and your company outright, interest and debt free, deferring those taxes and penalties while saving your post-tax liquid savings for a rainy day. So the goal is not only are you utilizing some of your retirement funds to then fund your business, but now you have a new retirement plan for your new business that you can then contribute some of the proceeds of your business to let those assets grow tax deferred and penalty free in the new plan. Okay. Something to note with this ROBS program, it is certainly much quicker than traditional financing such as SBA. So we're currently looking at about 2 to 3 weeks for funding for this ROBS plan. And that's to, set up the C Corp, get the EIN numbers, roll over the funds, set up the new plans, to actually receive the funds, about 2 to 3 weeks.
That's amazing. Very cool.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. So on to SBA lending, which I'm sure most of you have heard. So this is one of the most popular ways to finance a small business or a venture. So SBA loans are government-backed loans backed by the Small Business Administration. And this loan works similar to a mortgage, where the bank will finance about 80% of the total project costs, and then you'd be required to come to the table with 20% as your equity injection. So keep in mind whatever that franchise fee is, that also counts towards your 20% equity injection. Just a few high levels of SBA. So the terms are 10 years, no prepayment penalties. The rates are variable and tied to prime. Prime is currently at 8.5%, and the banks have a fixed margin rate of 2.75%. So currently we're looking at about 11 and a quarter for SBA rates. Again, this is a variable rate loan. So at the end of each quarter, whether prime goes up or down or stays the same, that will be reflected upon your rate. Now, the good news with there being a recent Fed rate cut, we are hoping to go back down for SBA rates, hopefully in Q1 or Q2 of next year. Okay.
I know
So
everyone's really hoping for that to
I know
happen.
we've been getting those questions nonstop. It
Yeah.
just takes a little bit longer for the prime rate to be affected by that. But we are hoping to go back below 8.5% for the prime rate. So SBA is a great tool to finance your franchise venture, but keep in mind SBA is not the quickest in the book. So we're currently looking at about 60 to 90 days start to loan close. That's pretty standard. Some things vary, but that's pretty standard timeline. However, here at Benetrends, we do also offer a free pre-qualification assessment. So it's free. There's no hard credit check. So we can let you know if you're qualified for an SBA loan and what that maximum loan amount would be. You also have another loan program known as our Quick Start Loan. So this is an unsecured loan program. It's non-SBA related. It is quicker and less paperwork. So we're looking at about 2 to 3 weeks for funding for this program. However, this loan program is specific for amounts from 50,000 to 250,000. It's zero cash down. However, you do need to show 50,000 liquid. It is a fixed rate loan. So it's currently fixed at 13.49%, but it ranges from 10 to 16%. These terms are 7 to 10 years, no prepayments the first 2 years. So you cannot pay off the loan the first 2 years with this program. For this loan, they're looking for credit scores over 750. You need to have annual household income to be approved, and no collateral is required. So this is a great financing tool for someone who needs funds quickly for their new business venture, or maybe cannot come up to the table with that 20% down for an SBA loan, or maybe doesn't want to come to the table with that 20% down. So this is another financing tool that we have. So this just about wraps up some of the different funding options that we have here at Benetrends. But please keep in mind that these funding options are not a one size fits all. So our goal is to educate you and help customize a funding solution that is tailored to you and your business venture. So we'll touch on all things, whether it's something that Benetrends provides or not. So we'll also touch on, a home equity line of credit or a securities backed line of credit, to find a funding strategy that fits your needs the best. So that just about sums it up. Michelle, I will then turn it back to you for some questions.
Yeah, this was perfect. I think this is a good kind of first level education for people. We have a lot of candidates that they come to our site, they're looking for opportunities, and they ask a lot of questions, which is great because I think this is all scary if you don't have an expert that in your family that knows this, or if you haven't done this before. So we pulled together some of the common questions that we have, and we're going to have you tackle these for us. This is one of my favorite questions: is should I find the brand that I want and then go for funding, or should I know what my financing options are before I've even nailed down what the business model is?
Certainly, certainly. So our motto is the sooner the better. It's never too early to evaluate what those funding options are and to get pre-qualified, especially if you want to go the SBA route. So this will help narrow down a franchise that works for you, a timeline, and a total project cost range, as each funding tool is different. You can certainly get pre-qualified or have that initial call whether you've narrowed down a franchise or not. Honestly, in that case, it's better. The sooner you have a conversation with us, that's better. And again, that will help you choose which franchise fits your needs the best. So keep in mind for SBA, our pre-qualification assessment is something that the franchisors also likely require or recommend prior to attending their discovery or confirmation day. So again, the sooner the better.
Yeah, and I know, so a lot of franchisors, if you've engaged with them, if you're in their process, they're doing a financial qualification on you. But I've talked to people on your team, and I like this analogy in that you don't find the perfect house you want and then go and find out how much you can afford. The same idea is by connecting with Benetrends earlier, you understand what you can really afford to invest in. So understanding kind of, don't get your heart set on something that you might not be able to sustain until you're in the black. I think it's great to know kind of what you could afford before you go pick your business. So that's really cool.
Yes, certainly.
All right. So this next question, that they've heard of the C Corp and the Rob's funding being the best. Why do you or do you agree with that? But just tell us more about that. So people just understanding, do you definitely want to do the C Corp? You mentioned you can mix it with other things, but if this is an option for you, would you always take it?
Yes. So long story short, and we do get this question a lot. So in order to use this ROBS program, you must establish a C Corp. That is the only way you can purchase shares of stock. So you cannot set up the ROBS plan with an LLC or an S Corp, et cetera. It does have to be a C Corp. So keep in mind, this is something that we would do for you here at Benetrends. So we would establish that C Corp for you. And in the event that you have already established an LLC or a different business entity, you could either convert that to a C Corp, or the C Corp can own majority of an LLC. The C Corp, however, cannot be just a shell corporation. So it has to be the main corporation. But long story short, yes, this does need to be a C Corp.
So how can I know what I would qualify for if I go with the SBA loan? What are the banks looking for when they give out those loans?
Yep. So for SBA lending, the banks will mainly be looking at liquidity. So they're going to be looking to make sure that you can put 20% down as your equity injection. That's sort of like your skin in the game. A lot of times you have to pay that franchise fee with cash. So they're looking to make sure that you can cover that 20% down. They're also going to be looking for some post-closing liquidity of about 3 to 6 months of cash reserves. So there's not necessarily a minimum liquidity requirement. It's going to be based upon your individual debt to income ratio to determine that number. They're going to be looking for some credit scores over 680. You do also have to have current annual household income to be approved. Again, this is why it's never too early to get pre-qualified for SBA, so you can determine if you're qualified for the loan and what that maximum loan amount would be. So usually in our official pre-qualification letter, that would outline everything you'd need for the loan. So what your 20% down would be, what your post-closing liquidity requirement is, what your income requirement is, all of that good stuff. We would outline that for you before you decide if you want to move forward or not. Again, that's free. There's no hard credit check.
Awesome.
So
Well, I was
awesome.
gonna say, and Jade, also too, if you have a partnership going into this and you have a woman or you have a minority in the partnership, aren't there benefits also on rates if you have a minority owner in the business to help you get just better rates on your money?
So how this works with SBA, across the board, there are not any minority or veteran standard discounts with the banks for SBA. SBA has been so popular that they don't feel that they need to incentivize people to take on
Yeah.
these loan programs. However, a lot of times the banks will vary with certain factors of the loan. So maybe instead of putting 20% down, you only have to put 18% or 16%. Or instead of that fixed margin rate, which the standard is 2.75%, maybe it's only 2.5% or 2.25%. So they'll sometimes vary different, things that they could adjust on the loan for that. But
Okay.
unfortunately, there's not necessarily a set discount
Discount.
for, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So another thing to note, which I don't think I mentioned earlier. So here at Benetrends, we are not the bank or the lender, but we have relationships with over 80 different banks and lenders. We know exactly which banks have different appetites to take on different projects. So we're here to help be a liaison and match you up with the bank that we know would approve your project. So here at Benetrends, we have an internal SBA department that'll help walk you through the process, work directly with the lenders to get you approved, package and present the loan for you. We can also create those customized business plans and financial models that are required for SBA compliance guidelines. So we're here to help walk you through the various stages of SBA lending and help you get pre-qualified as soon as possible.
Awesome. And this was the last question, which you I think you did speak to earlier, that you can have both types of loans. Is there anything else you want to add to this, or does it help as far as the timing of when the money comes in? Because one seemed much faster than the other.
Yes, so this is a great funding method to use ROBS in conjunction with an SBA loan. It's also very popular. So in this case, most people will start both processes simultaneously. So you'll get pre-qualified for the SBA loan, you'll start the rollover process, which is quicker. Once you receive those rollover funds, you can then use those funds towards the 20% down on an SBA loan. It counts towards your post-closing liquidity requirement, and it also can count towards income requirements because you can take a salary from the plan. So this could be a great tool for anyone who is maybe lacking the liquidity requirements from the banks, or maybe who recently quit their job or were laid off with no current income coming in. In that case, it's hard to get, qualified for an SBA loan. So in this case, you can use the ROBS. If you think about it this way, you're turning an e-liquid retirement asset liquid. So now the banks see it as additional liquidity that you have. So it's a great tool for that. Or simply, if you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket and you'd prefer to maybe finance a portion of the project and maybe self-fund a portion of the project. So yes, a great tool to use in conjunction.
So before we kind of wrap up here, what I want to say is I think that there's something scary talking about this, talking about money, or picking up the phone and calling to talk with you. You always say that you offer this complimentary consultation. How many people do you talk to that don't work with you? I just want to make sure people feel comfortable. Like, this is not going to lock you into anything. This is really a great opportunity to get educated before you get your money. Do you have a sense of how many people you talk to that don't move forward? I just want to try and lower that barrier, that they should absolutely reach out. They will learn something, if nothing else, if they don't continue working with you.
So I will say that it's definitely not 100% of the people that I talk to that move
Yeah.
forward. There's a lot of factors that come into play, right? When you're pursuing a business or a franchise, you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence. So that's, finding the right franchise for you, finding the right timeline, finding how involved you want to be, right? Do you want to be semi-absentee? Are you going to keep your current job? So there's a lot of factors that come into play. Sometimes you may have the funds, but you're just not ready to make, the next move. So it's never a bad idea to have this funding conversation earlier. There's absolutely no ties to us. We're just here to be a funding resource. So that way, when you are ready to make this, big venture, you know exactly what your funding options are that are available to you.
Awesome. I love that because I think that Benetrends is very aligned with FBR. Rocco, we've known for years, and that we are trying to make sure that anybody coming into franchising has the best shot at being successful. So this really is about education. This really is about doing that due diligence, talking to franchise owners that are in the brands to understand what it's like. An important question to ask is, how long did it take you to break even? I think that's a great question for people to understand. do they have enough money set aside to help them to sustain them until they're in the black? So I think
Mhm.
picking up the phone and connecting with Benetrends will do nothing other than give you peace of mind if you're just checking those boxes that you know exactly what you're doing, or if it is scary, it's a great opportunity to just learn more without taking a risk. So I do appreciate. I don't know if you have any parting words you want to say to anyone that's thinking about becoming a business owner or a franchisee, but I do appreciate this kind of first round of education for our audience.
Yes, certainly. And thank you so much for having me again. You could always schedule a call with me. My QR code is on the screen. It could be as little as a 30, 45-minute phone call to go over some of our funding strategies. And then we can customize a funding strategy for you, whether you're ready now or maybe sometime in the future. So never too early to get that call. And I would be happy to help
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jade. It was great talking with you today.
you as well. Thank you so much, Michelle.